appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by the talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-line broadcast bunker on the beautiful south coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, Goose County, Blue Oregon, America. How was election night going? How was election night going for you? How are you doing? I do believe that we have a president. If you look on the national stage, we have a president candidate who is doing pretty good. I mean, you know, he hasn't won yet, but he's doing pretty damn good. And I've got my good friend Marty joining me tonight. And Marty is going to be, we're going to be talking about all kinds of different things, but mostly the election and the election results. How you doing, Marty?
Oh, I am doing great. And how are you doing this evening?
I am doing pretty kick-ass. I've been thrilled about this for a long time. I've been thrilled about that. Yes, on Measure 6219. I was getting ready to show. I have the share screen of the. Let's see. I think it's the AP, Associated Press. Yes, here it goes. Right now it's at 179 to 214 for the presidential race as far as electoral votes.
Wow. I've got my "it can only get better" hat going on, so.
Well, it could only get better. I think it's going to get better. She has to pick up a few of the swing states that they got labeled down here. I like how they leave the left coast completely gray because it's oh no, I guess they a minute ago was completely gray on the left coast, and we all knew who they were going to vote for. I mean, like, you know, big surprise there. But yeah, he's won almost all of Middle America, and he's waiting. We're waiting for Minnesota, Wisconsin. Looks like Pennsylvania is still in play, and Georgia is still in play. So
yeah, well, that's not too surprising. Wisconsin and Georgia are going to be kind of the questionable ones. So,
well, if he does that, we should have a pretty damn good night. I was looking at and I'm going to share this tab here, the daily ballot returns for the county clerk's office, and it looks like she's still got the unofficial totals have not been released yet. You got the zero report. The daily ballot return I thought was quite interesting. We've got up to 65.7% as of yesterday, the 4th.
Yeah, and it was odd because they had not updated that. I checked about 4 this afternoon, and they had not updated the 4th yet, even though I get that data from the Secretary of State through other channels, through my Cause of America Oregon folks. And so I knew what the totals were, and I can't read your screen because it's a little dinky, so I'll bring it up on my screen just a sec.
Right.
So let's find Coos. Oops, wrong keyboard. I've got multiple computers going on here, so.
I do too, just in case. You never know.
Coos.or.us and election voter information, and this one, and okay. Yeah, so 29,676. Let's see how that matches my numbers. Okay, and then for my other source, I got 29,546. So it's pretty close.
Yeah, 29,676 is what they got reported here. Yep, pretty close.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've got four different. It's kind of funny because, and we're not on the air, right? At this
Yeah,
point.
we're on the air right now. Totally.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was gonna say because I was actually gonna go put my teeth in. I forgot to do that. So
We'll give you a break here in a minute.
let
We're
me go
gonna.
do that. Let me go do
I got
that
a
real
couple of
quick.
people. Yeah, if you want to run, you can now. But I got different people who'll be coming on and off. So Marty went to go put on his teeth. I appreciate when Marty puts in his teeth. That's kind of means something special to me. But yeah, looking at the so far at the county clerk's office, that was the daily ballot return and the unofficial totals. Nope, we're still getting a 0 count. So that is from our very own county clerk's office. So if you go to the Secretary of State's and you go to the track election results, you can go right down here to Coos County. And let's see if they've got anything reported there. Oh my gosh, they do. Looky here.
Oh, they're away from their 0 report now.
Yeah. Oh wow. It looks like Drew Farmer is winning over Bob Main.
Uh-oh.
53 for Drew to 46%.
Because you're not sharing that on the screen at the moment. So
Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can share that. Can you see that now?
I can see that now.
So I don't know. This is the first drop they do at 8 o'clock usually.
Yeah.
And
No,
normally
I'm bringing this up on other screens as well. So yeah, there you go. With 24,000 ballots counted, we've got 21,000 for county commissioner. It's 11,000 to 9,800. So
yeah, not looking good.
yeah, it's a sad state of affairs.
Megan Sims, of course, wins
Yeah,
wins county treasurer.
wins an uncontested race. Wow.
You should have ran
Good
for
on
that
her.
one.
Yeah.
For
What the
the
heck
this,
what the heck would I do as county treasurer?
I have no idea. I don't know if there's
Hey.
even any money in it.
Hey, everybody, we don't have any money.
Yeah, pretty much. City abandoned. The mayor here. This is the mayor, Angela Cardis, against Mary Shamhorn, and Mary took it again. Can you believe this? For 52%.
Well, that's only 52% though. Let me scroll down and catch up to you on that one. But I can actually just look on your screen. So, yeah, well, it's 52 to 49. So I'm not saying it's a runaway. I mean, we only got what 600 and the vote differential is not that big.
Well, it's 46%. Yeah, it's a 6% difference, and I really don't know how much is reporting at this point. I don't know how much that. Well, it says total votes, but I don't know if that means the total votes that are off this vote, or if it's the total votes for people that are registered to vote in this category. I don't know.
Yeah, good question. I'd have to go look that one up. I'm not certain I have that information. I don't know if this light does me any good or not. Yeah, it just makes me look greener. Yeah, okay, well, whatever.
So
Yeah,
the city abandoned.
This is essentially like polishing a turd. It's still going to be a turd no matter how hard I polish it. So
Just don't rub too hard, man.
well, I mean, you got some lights that actually make you look fairly good. I mean, as good as you're going to get, but and I'm like going, wow, I'm like, no, but at least now at least I got my teeth in, so I'm looking good.
All right, good deal.
Yeah, but I mean the difference between Cardis and Shammerhorn or Shammyhorn or Shamhorn or however you pronounce it, it's only what 9 and 63, so it's only 72 votes difference.
Yeah,
at this point, so
72 votes. I don't know if she can. Yeah, but I wonder what the percentages of the votes reporting. I don't know.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I'm curious as to out of the 50,187 eligible voters, how many of those can actually vote in Bandon?
not too many, I would imagine.
Because one of the people that I work with, Cause of America Oregon group, he now lives up in Seaside,
Yeah.
but he got a Bandon ballot because he used to live in Bandon a while ago, and he's like going, yeah, so I got a Bandon ballot. How the heck am I supposed to vote in Clackamas County with my Bandon ballot?
So I saw Julie Brecky today because I had to take my wife to the clerk's office because we lost her ballot. I think
Yeah,
I
he told me
tossed
about
it.
that.
Yeah, and so we had the only chance we had to go was today, so we went, and she was very nice. She replaced my wife's ballot, and where I had torn my envelope, that the envelope you have to sign, she
Hmm.
made me tape it and then signed the tape, and I was more than happy to do that. She was very nice. They didn't look
Hmm.
too stressed, so you know.
Oh yeah, well I told you about what happened with me this morning, right?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, and it was not like I was confronting her. I walked up there to go hand in my ballot because I was going over to Coquille for the commissioners meeting anyway. And so I just walk in there, and there's two women standing in line in front of the little glass window, and there's three guys just kind of hanging around. And I'm like, well, I was worried that I was cutting line, so I basically said, hey, what are you guys up to? And they said, oh, well, we're waiting to get our ballots. And one guy goes, yeah, for some reason they can't figure out my address, so I didn't get a ballot. And I said, "Oh, okay." So, he said, "Yeah, just go get in line behind these two gals." I said, "Okay." And I said, "Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have my laptop with me. If I had my laptop, I could at least show you where they thought your address was, so that you could either confirm or deny that your address is correct on the voter rolls." And the moment I said that, Brecky pops up behind the window and starts screaming, Marty, you cannot give these people misinformation. I don't want you to talk to these people. You cannot give them misinformation. And I'm like, what misinformation am I giving them? I am going to give them information from the Secretary of State voter rolls. If you have a problem with the Secretary of State voter rolls, you got a bigger problem with the election. And by the way, I mean, it's like, I cannot talk to anybody in the hallway. And why are you interrupting me from inside your little glass booth to scream at me? So, needless to say, I was like, well, that was a pretty entertaining way to start the day. And she's, why are you here? I'm like, to turn in my ballot.
Crazy, huh?
I
Crazy. You would
know.
want to do that.
I know. How very undemocratic of me.
Very undemocratic of you. I got the city abandoned, the council members here,
Okay.
and it looks like Archie Garrett has won that.
Well, it says vote for three. So, I mean, we're going with what, the top three here?
Yep, and it looks like the top three got the top three. Jerry Prochetta got 19%, and Bear Slothauer or Slothauer, however you want to pronounce it, 21%,
Mm. Yeah,
22%.
I'm horrible at pronouncing names, so I'm going to go with Slothauer because with a name like Bear, I'm going Bear, Sloth, Bear. Okay, sure, why not? And then Jerry Geraldine Prosciutto, and the
Yeah,
first time I saw one of those signs, I was like, I was thinking more prosciutto, but hey, whatever. I mean, whatever works.
slice it up, put it on the sandwich. We're good. Oh,
Yeah.
look, Joe Benetti didn't even. No one even ran against him this time around. Pretty sad, huh?
Huh. Yeah. I don't know how great is it to be the mayor of Coos Bay?
Probably not that great. Stephanie Kilmer. Probably of all of these people, she's the most conservative. Looks
Okay.
like Lucinda DeNova. She's the last one you'd want on there, but it looks like Troy Cribbins came in third. So it's Kilmer, Cribbins, and DeNova. Oh, it's
Yeah, and
vote for
then
four.
vote for four. So we've got a big race between Niebergall and Frashuer,
Yep.
or maybe Frazier. So is Tony A or Troy A. Cribbins? Is that any relation to the other Cribbins we know?
That is her husband.
Oh, okay.
That is Melissa Cribbins' husband, Troy Cribbins.
Okay, so that is a relation of sorts.
It is a relation of sorts. The city of Coquille Mayor, Sam Flattery, got a whole whopping 93%. Look, actually, 7% of the people voted against him. That's
Well, when you got only 828 people voting, you get a 7% write-in. It's like 23 people are writing in how 58 people are writing in like howdy doody or something. I don't know.
yeah. You suck so bad. We're not even going to vote for you, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. City of Coquille, they got three votes. They all won. I'm not even going to go through that. Lakeside is always interesting because as soon as one of these people get elected, they're going to get recalled. I mean, it's just a matter of time. You might as well get the recall paperwork filled out for whoever's going to recall the mayor now, which is Nikki Wood, it looks like.
Okay. So Lakeside is the city of recalls then?
Yes, total city of recalls. In fact, when they get up to speak, I always tell them, get him going. He won't be the mayor by the time you're done. So
what a way to run a city.
Yeah.
Nobody can turn out to vote, but a lot of people are going to turn out to recall you. How very nice.
Yep, it's one of those situations, and it's happened at least a half a dozen times since I've lived here. City of Lakeside, City Council, who cares? City Council, 2-year term, who cares? Looks like Elaine Armstrong won that anyway. Myrtle Point Mayor, looks like Samantha Claiborne ran unopposed and got 96%. City of Myrtle Point City Council. City of North Bend Mayor, Inglekey Haynes or write-in, and Inglekey got 62.64%. That's not bad. You there?
Oh yeah, no, I'm clicking on other screens, so if I don't respond, I'm like going, yeah, I don't know who Inglekey is. So
Oh, that's okay. Inglekey is the mayor of North Bend, and I didn't know anything about the other guy, so I didn't. People were asking me about him, and had no clue. Susan Nordruff, it looks like she's finally voted out of office. I bet a lot of people will be happy. A lot of people thought she was really annoying. But it's good to see that this was a good turnout. Melinda Torres and Tim Slater seem to have got the top two, and Matt Hamilton came in third. City of Powers, the mayor, out of the two, Fred Fry. All right, Fred Fry got 126 over Michael Maffei, got 71.
Yeah.
71
Yeah.
there.
Well, I mean, it's only what 30 plus 26. That's only 56 different, or 55 different. But then again, only 222 people voted so far. So what are we supposed to take from that?
Oh, looky here. The Coos County 5-year local option levy to help fund jail operations. 62% of us said hell no.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by the 219 though. I mean, 60 to 39.
Wow.
I was kind of hoping it was going to be a little more decisive than that.
I was hoping that was going to be way more decisive than that, but we had to get 60. So hopefully it's a solid 60.
Yeah.
Usually conservatives vote in the last, just counting on last couple of elections, conservatives are usually the last ones to vote. So that vote will only go up, I think, as far as the yes category.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the good takeaway on this is if you look at these numbers, I mean, so far only 24,000 ballots have been counted, and 22,600 people have voted in for 6214 or 6217, the levy, and 6219, 22,300. So those are actually pretty good when you look at it from a percentage of, ballots already counted. So
that should, I think that will pick up. I think that'll pick up numbers.
Yeah. Let me pull up the calculator real quick here and let's see. if we got 24.
Oh, looky there. The Coos Bay City bonds for constructing and equipping a new library. 67% said no. That's huge.
I find that surprising somehow.
Really?
Well, I mean, everybody seemed to think, well, we need a new library, but I didn't realize that it was going to be, I just assumed everybody was going to say, yeah, we need a new library, but, and maybe it was the fact that it was a decision that was a non-decision, meaning, we want to spend money on a new library and not so much a new library A or new library B. It was just like, okay. Anyway, so to give you an idea of the turnout for the 6-219. So with 22,385 votes in on that, that's 93% of the ballots counted.
Okay.
So 93% of people have chimed in on that. I mean, that's less. More people have chimed in on 219 than did for commissioner.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. Commissioner always gets in, and anything that's down ballot gets that 62% no on the levy. Wow, that's gotta hurt. They got to be sitting there thinking, what the hell happened, and then to see what's going on with Bob Main. Let's see. Let's go back up there. Yeah, 46%. Woo! Damn. Yep. So it ought to be interesting going into the second, because at 10 o'clock they should drop another one. I want to see what Curry County did with the Curry County wind turbine vote. So let me go back here.
Let's it's in here somewhere.
There we go. All right. Unofficial. 61% of the 19,379 active registered voters. The ballots counted so far, 11,970. And let's see. Boy, nobody's running against these offices here. Okay. Well, that's fine, I suppose. Guess they don't like change. They don't like change in Curry County, I guess.
Okay, so 11,382 out of 11,970. Wow. So they've counted 12,000 ballots, and for 8-116 they've got 11,382.
Yep.
So that's a pretty decisive turnout saying, yes, we do have an opinion about this.
79%. You fucking rock, Curry County. Excuse my language, but damn. 80%. I'm willing to bet that number because that's a small percentage that it has to go over to 80%. I'm willing to bet by the end of the evening it hits 80.
Oh yeah, I mean, but the thing is like I said, I mean, of 12,000, what was it, 11,900 ballots cast or counted so far. You got 11,382 on that one, and you look at the next one, and it's like it's a nothing. But yeah, so that's pretty impressive. I mean, so it's 80% yes, and 90 some odd percent of the people actually voted on it. So that's impressive.
That's impressive. That's an impressive vote. And, but it's just amazing that it's a 19% difference between the yes vote in Coos County and the yes vote in Curry County.
Yeah, that is a little sad.
That's very sad.
Yeah, so 95%. 95% of the people that have been counted in Curry County have voted on 6219, or I'm sorry, 8116.
Right.
So 95% basically chimed in and said 80% of those people have said, yes, we want to stop the wind turbines. So that's pretty impressive.
Well, if you look, the city of Brookings prohibits psilocybin product manufacturing in service centers in Brookings. 60% says yes, they wanted to prohibit that. Interesting.
Well,
I didn't even know.
yeah, but I mean, only 1,600 people voted as opposed to the 9,000. Only 2,700 people voted as opposed to the 11,000 people that
Oh,
voted
but it
against
was
it.
the city of Brookings. It was just
Oh,
the
good,
city.
good, good point. Yeah, I forgot about that aspect of it. So,
Yep. So that wow, what a wild turnout. So let's see if we got the measures here, because the measures were the statewide measures. Oh God, I hate these things. Authorizes impeachment, 63% say yes. 42% turnout so far. Ballots counted 1,309,974 ballots. Measure 116. No. I love it. 52%.
check out 118.
117 is nice. Look at that. Ranked choice voting. No.
Yeah.
No. Ooh. Minimum taxes. I think people are finally got the message on taxes.
Yeah.
The library failed, the county failed, and Measure 118 failed. I think that should be a wake-up call to the politicians.
Well, I would hope. I mean, the whole thing is, especially with ranked choice voting, it's like once you get into ranked choice voting, you might as well just give up because your elections are over. When that happened in Alameda County in Oakland, California, it's like, and it doesn't matter who you vote for anymore because now they'll just go ahead and say, well, the person that is currently the mayor actually was in third place, but the ballots were such that third place winner actually won. And you're like, I'm really not certain how that's supposed to work anymore. So,
and literally listening to them explain it, it's that convoluted. It's
well,
yeah.
I thought it was funny in the voters pamphlet that there was over 40 pages with Measure 117 to explain Measure 117. And I was just like, so they're simplifying it by telling you in 40 some odd pages how it's going to be simpler. And I'm like, too long, didn't read it. Egads, 40 pages to, of for and against, but still 40 pages for a ballot measure that's supposed to quote unquote simplify voting. So you can vote it like a beauty contest. I really like number one, but number two put in a good show, and number three, well, she's got nice shoes, so let's go for it's like, no, this is not a beauty contest. We're not voting for the most popular. This is not one of those things where you vote in the special needs kid as prom king. But sometimes the way some of these elections turn out, I'm like, so we voted in the special needs kid for prom king. Super. It's a nice sentiment, but not if you're running a country or running a state.
Right. I'm looking at the numbers from the county clerk herself. These are the ones that are submitted to the Secretary of State's office. And I thought I'd go ahead and show that. But I'm going to start sharing here again. What happened? Oh, there I am. Okay. Let's go back up here. Let's go home. And let's see, state senators. What did we get for state senators? Oh, our favorite, David Brock Smith. We got 69%. Wow.
And only 147 write-ins? Bummer.
Yeah. Noah Robinson got 69%. Good.
That was good.
Dick Anderson got 52%.
Yeah, which is good with an upside down exclamation point. Good question mark. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess it's better than a Democrat, but how do you tell the difference
How
sometimes?
do you tell the difference, right? Let's see. I wish I was more familiar with some of these, but I'm not.
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't
the
know a lot of these
person.
districts, so
I'm going to bring on Matt Rao. And hey, Matt.
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Pretty damn good. How are things going in your world as far as the election is going?
Well, I mean, we've seen that it looks like from the preliminary results that, Rhino Warhawk, Lori Chavez DeRemer is going down in flames in the 5th Congressional District.
Oh,
Right
I
now,
didn't even notice.
she's trailing significantly in both Clackamas and Deschutes counties. And those are the population hubs of that district. So I think she's going to have a long, long night ahead of her. I have been perusing the results, so I haven't had a chance to listen to the program. What have you covered so far?
Oh, we were just going over the local ones. We were just starting to branch out. In fact, I was saying I hope that when I heard you blink in that someone was there that knows more about the elections that are going on around the state.
we are like woefully inadequate when it comes to other areas of the state because we are so focused on Bandon and Coos County and Curry County and stuff like that. So it was like, oh yeah, I guess there's other things going on. So we're gonna have you fill in on that one.
Well, on the statewide ballot measures, the results have been relatively predictable, in so much as the rebate, the corporate tax, which would be used to rebate $1,600 per person, went down by a wide margin, which it never was running a serious campaign to begin with. I believe it was put on the ballot solely to drain conservative resources away from more important races. That's why the Democrats put no effort into the race, and half of them ended up opposing it to keep themselves in good standing with their corporate paymasters. But I would say also very good news for third-party activists in Oregon. The hybrid ranked choice voting initiative that was referred to the voters by the legislature, that would have been the worst of both worlds for third parties and the worst of both worlds for voters, but the best of both worlds for politicians in the two-party system. That went down overwhelmingly. Well, it isn't going down overwhelmingly, but it's going down by a decisive margin that I don't believe will be made up with the.
Which one was that? What
that was
number
ballot
was
measure? It was 117.
Okay. Yeah, it's going down pretty significantly. It's almost 60%. No.
Yeah, it's roughly 60 to 40 right now. So.
Yeah, and the counties that haven't reported are going to be more likely to vote no. So I expect the margin to expand. Unionization for cannabis workers passed. People have asked me, why is that even on the ballot? The answer is because since the cannabis industry is federally illegal, it's not like you can call the National Labor Relations Board when forming a union. And so that's why labor financed that to get it on the ballot to make sure that they could organize that industry as well. And I'm sure turn it into a fundraising juggernaut for more corrupt politicians. But
you're the chair of the Libertarian Party. What was your stance on that measure?
My outlook is this: freedom of association, especially in the private sector, I think makes perfect sense. I mean, a worker's labor is their property right. And I would say freedom of association is very clear in the First Amendment and central to libertarianism. So on a personal level, I voted for the initiative. The question is, how is it going to be enforced? And I think the devil will be in the details. My guess is, obviously, instead of having locals centered on the needs and issues of the workers in that industry, that instead we're going to see, or in the individual shops, let me clarify, we're going to see stuff catered far more to the political interests of big labor. I hope I'm proven wrong on that. But regardless, it's their right to form those unions, in my opinion, whether the federal government recognizes its legality or not.
Right. Interesting. And so what was the other one? We talked about ranked choice voting. Measure 118, that's going down huge. The tax increase, the corporate tax increase, 78% voted against it.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to look at the spending ratio on that. And I will say, they ran a flagrantly dishonest ad campaign saying it was a sales tax, which again, it would be an inflationary tax because most taxes are inflationary, if not all taxes. But it was a tax on corporate income, not a sales tax direct on consumers. It was probably one of the least honest advertising campaigns I've seen in modern Oregon history. But they were able to conflate that with the voters. In the end, it would have been inflationary, no doubt about it. But I think maybe it's a little more ethical to be straight up with the voters as opposed to spend millions and millions of dollars to lie about what it actually was.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I'm not saying it was good. I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying in the campaign, it wasn't. I mean, a sales tax is where you go to the store and they tack on 5% and give it to the government.
Right.
This is obviously they would be raising the taxes on the corporate income of those businesses. Now, of course, the business is going to pass it on to the consumer, but it's not a sales tax. That's the choice they give business, right?
Yeah, so it's sort of like a secondhand sales tax, where the corporations are not going to go, oh, you know what, we're just going to pay that extra 5%. They're going to go, oh, you know what, we're going to raise the prices on our goods 5% to cover that tax. So,
and generally speaking, if you have have a good year, you're going to actually net far more profits by raising that. So, yeah, it'll be fascinating to see what happens in the fallout of this, because Republicans are losing badly across the board in this state right now, tonight as we speak. And their lobby interests spent 10 times more than they had to spend on this. And in politics, this is a classic attrition tactic to utilize the resources of your opposition. I remember back in 2006, there was the term limits initiative. The people overwhelmingly passed it in 1992. The courts threw it out on a technicality because our legislators sued us to try and have it overturned, and they won. And I was going to say that it was put back on the ballot in 2006, and the House Republicans, who were in the majority at the time, very small majority, 33 to 27 in the House, and I think it was 15-15 in the Senate, or 16-14, and they spent several $1 million that they could have been spending to shore up their candidates for re-election to overwhelmingly defeat a measure that was going to go down anyways, because it ended up losing like 58-42. And so Republicans, because the business lobby is often reactive, always fall into this trap every single time. So they're going to pat themselves on the back for winning a battle that they were going to win no matter what. And in the end, they left their flank open on both sides, and they're getting clean swept in the 5th district, in every statewide race, and in every key state Senate race, and most of the key state House races.
So let's go over that. Which ones did the Republicans want to pick up and are not picking up, and what have they lost? Can you give us a readout on that?
Well, it looks like Dick Anderson's won re-election in the 5th state Senate district, which, is not unexpected. He had a significant fundraising lead, and the district became more favorable towards Republicans after redistricting. It's still close enough as a district. It's just he had a weak opponent in Joe Boudreau, city councilor from Florence, who ran a pretty anemic campaign. But, that's usually par for the course for Democrats outside of the Portland metro, especially after they put $500,000 into Melissa Cribbins to get absolutely nothing in return when Dick Anderson beat her in 2020. So Dick got for the most part, a free pass. He's maybe the Lou Gehrig of the Senate Republican caucus. He's the luckiest man on earth, because he votes for tampons in the boys' restrooms. He votes for public funding of abortion. He votes for or shows up to the sessions where they erode our gun rights and parental rights. And he didn't get a Republican opponent or a single third party challenger this time on the right, which was a shame. But I guess it's par for the course. I look at the results initially tonight. It looks like that the American people are still stuck in the doom loop of voting for the two major parties in most key races.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like that's going to break anytime soon. Well, let me clarify. Maybe in local races or legislative races or an odd race here or there. But I know that every election, and you know this, Rob, there are prognosticators who believe, oh, this is going to be the year. This is going to be the big one. It's a breakthrough.
Yeah.
These things are incremental. It's sort of like the Grand Canyon wasn't carved out of stone in a day. It took a long, long time. And, you know, I think folks, especially activists, conservative activists on the right who, you know, while they may be happy with what looks like will be the election of President Trump as the 47th president, there's not much else to be happy about with the Republican Party that's in Washington, D.C. or in our state capitals. And so the right, those of us on the right, whether they're Republicans, maybe the 5 conservative Democrats left in America, independent, libertarian, Constitution, we're going to have to be vigilant to keep holding these people's feet to the fire. And I think President Trump is going to need some help in that regard if he does secure another term, because it looks like he'll have a Democratic House, probably a slightly more Republican Senate. And he likes to be a deal maker. He likes to be popular. And so of all the folks who are exultant tonight, I say congratulations, you know, or at least presumably.
Right.
But the real fight's going to be after this, and making sure the squish Republicans actually follow through on their promises.
That's it.
And that's the role I'm hoping to see the Libertarian Party play in the next 2 years in this state, is to hold the Republicans in Salem's feet to the fire, and every prospective Republican candidate for federal or local office. You know, we may not rack up large vote counts, but in the close, decisive races, we are going to make an impact, and we are going to let voters know the record of these rhino-controlled opposition Republicans.
I agree.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm the largest fan of David Brock Smith in the state of Oregon, so we know who I'm going to be working against. So there we go.
So I got Samantha Frost on here, and Samantha's at a bar in Roseburg.
Yes, it's called Workman's. Actually, the guy that I had right near me, that's the owner, Kenny Workman.
Nice.
He's a friend of mine from high school. So,
Nice.
So how'd you do in your election?
Well, Michaela's impressed. Me, not so much. So, apparently I've only got 37% so far. So, but see, here's the thing. You see my signs everywhere. I sent out flyers. I talked to people left and right, and people around here in Douglas County this is the biggest conservative county in the whole entire state. So when you talk to people around here, they want hand counting. They want their elections to be to have integrity. They want ID check. They want to go to polls. They don't like mail-in voting. Okay, so then you were talking about the establishment Republicans. That's who I'm fighting. Unfortunately, I have to fight my own party, the Republican Party, because they endorsed Dan Loomis, who is the incumbent right now. And by them endorsing him, it confuses everybody. Like they think that, oh, he stands for hand counting. No, he does not. He rejected 6 petitions to go on the ballot for hand counting. So that's not for hand counting at all. So and you would think that he was for getting rid of the mail-in voting? No, actually he brags about mail-in voting. Oh, it was voted in 1998. Okay, And
Yeah, I always love the people that say, well, it was voted in like 20 some odd years ago. And I'm like, well, yeah. And, 20 years
and
ago,
they
I was a good looking guy, but I'm certainly not saying I'm a good looking guy now. So let's go ahead and go
right.
with the whole idea that things can change if you want them to. And just the fact that there was something that somebody voted in back in, 26 years ago doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing now.
Exactly. And he brags. He brags about that fact that mail-in voting was voted in 1998. It's like, well, where were you in 1998? You
I
know?
can tell you right now, I don't think they would ever, and I'm talking about the electorate, they'll never get rid of mail in voting in Oregon. We're just too damn lazy in this state, okay? Matt, I know you probably got to agree with me on that one, huh?
Well, I think the problem is if you make anything more convenient, once you pull it back, there's always backlash. Because look, people follow the rule of osmosis, right? I mean, whether you believe the good Lord put us here, or if you're like me, you're an agnostic, or you're an atheist, or you believe in evolution, whatever. The fact is, one way or the other, we're just highly evolved animals in one way or the other, and we go through the same
Are you talking to Kamala?
reasoning.
No.
Talking to Kamala?
We're talking
No,
about.
absolutely not.
Hey,
I was going to say no. I was going to say though, the people like the path of least resistance, and so
Right.
if something's easier, they generally like it. And I'm honestly shocked that it took so many cycles for somebody to light one of those ballot boxes on fire. For
me
years,
too.
that's been a concern of mine. For years, I remember when they put the one in front of the Coos County Courthouse in Coquille when I was mayor, and I remember seeing the one they put in front of Coos Bay City Hall around the same period. The slot was big enough that I could put a road flare in there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no way to figure out whose ballots were in there, as we saw up in what was it, Clackamas County, up north. And so I mean the mobile drop boxes have very tight slots, and so it'd be very difficult to light something up and get it through there. It's still possible, but I was going to say that this is why. I urged anybody who would listen to me who was running for county clerk in any county 2 years ago that a winning issue is we need 24/7 live stream of all ballot box drop sites with game cameras. It's not very expensive. And that you need to just put the count room and where they're counting the ballots and storing the ballots on the same kind of a stream. And anybody can come in any time of day and watch that feed. And I think that would do more to boost confidence in the vote by mail system than just about anything. I would say, though, any election can be rigged, especially if those who are printing the ballots and counting the ballots are in on it. So even if it was a vote in person situation, it's not above fraud. But if the left that controls this state and our Democratic county clerk in Coos County or any other county clerk wants to actually restore confidence in our democracy, as they claim it so piously.
Oh my God, yeah, all the time. Our democracy.
How about you let us see how it's made? Let us see the ballots being counted. Let us see the drop sites, and then also, if you got it on camera, my guess is somebody's not going to be as inclined to light it up.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
I think it takes care of a lot of things. I know Bob Main, who, of course, I have my history with Bob, and I think he's been a lousy commissioner. But I was going to say that this is one of the things I think Bob was right on in this election cycle was changing his mind on the grant for the county clerk's office, because at first it seemed like a great idea. Oh, we're going to get $50,000. It was $50,000 mostly for armed guards to go around with our government workers and pick up the ballot box, much like in a third world country. That's how you run elections in Pakistan, with the military sitting at the voting sites. And this is what that grant would have been for. I will say Bob got a lot of heat for that, especially from the left. But I think that rejecting that grant at least keeps a semblance of civilian control and normalcy in our elections.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting that when CTCL came in, or when Brecky wanted to get CTCL money to $50,000, And, and so we were all giving our passionate speeches about, I don't care where the money's coming from. If Hitler wanted to give the county $50,000, I wouldn't care because that's $50,000 less for Hitler. But I don't trust the county clerk. She says, oh, well, we're going to use it to make a video and we're going to about how voting works. And we're going to use it to put in live streaming web cameras to show signature verification. And then she said exactly how we're doing signature verification now. And I'm like going, oh, signature verification now is you're sitting 6 feet away, looking at the back of a monitor of somebody looking at a monitor who may or may not be doing signature verification. They could be playing Tetris for all I know because I can't see what they are seeing. So, but we're going to put in a camera that'll show you the exact same thing you're not seeing now. And I'm like, yeah, that's super transparent. And then, whatever happened to the, 950 ballots in Coos County went missing because the United States Postal Service had a sorting error. And and they didn't announce it. Brecky didn't announce it until the 30th, which means now all those 950 people have to go to Coquille and get a new ballot. And it's like these, I ran into at least a dozen people in the last couple of days that are like, I never got my ballot. And I said, get your ass over to Coquille and go get a new one. And when I was standing in line at the Coquille courthouse in front of the elections office, I was talking to 3 people that were like going, I don't know how they got my address wrong, but I never got a ballot. And, then I started talking about it, and Brecky came screaming up to the window going, Marty, you can't be saying all this disinformation to these people. And I'm like, I'm not saying anything is disinformation. I'm talking about the voter rolls that we got from the Secretary of State. And if you got a problem with the voter rolls from the Secretary of State, then you got a problem with the election. But thanks for screaming at me. Have a nice day.
Marty, my friend June watches Mike Lindell like 24/7. And no, I'm serious, but she told me about this website called VOCL, like Vocal.
Yeah, it's Vocal.
Yeah.
It used to be Frank Social. Yeah.
Okay.
I know about it.
So can you report this kind of stuff to Vocal, and will it go anywhere?
Oh, no, I can go ahead and report it. I mean, Vocal's got a system. True the Vote's got a system. Catherine Engelbrecht's got a system to record all these things. And the whole thing is whether they can do something about it or not. And the problem with us being out in the hinterlands of Oregon, we don't get the same kind of attention and legal help that the people that are, they actually have like tens of thousands of poll workers and hundreds of lawyers that are ready to spring into action in situations like this. But situations like this, I mean, in like polling places where people are getting turned away, in vote by mail counties, in dink counties in Oregon, I'm sorry, but we are kind of a rounding error when it comes to national politics. They're not going to release the dogs. But what we can do is we can record all these instances so that when we have our grievances, and I'm working on the Dr. Frank Walkless stuff, when we air our grievances, we have all this great evidence of, well, you say you're transparent, but then this happened, or you say you're transparent and then that happened. And I've written a bunch of these things up on the Curious Case of Coos County on the Audit Oregon website. So
yeah, and that's the best thing to document it. Hey, Matt, I got a question for you about some of the local results with the tax levy. You had the county tax levy that went down huge, 60 some odd percent. You had the levy in Coos Bay with the library go down huge. It was a huge loss. Do you think people are just tired of paying taxes? This is a good signal?
Well, the funny thing is, especially in Coos County, we seem to think the best time to ask for more money is when the economy's in the toilet or people are economically insecure. That tends to be the usual here in this county for the last 40 years in any case. No, I think the voters have been very clear disproportionately that they don't feel, even if we funded public safety in this county to the level that they desire, the politicians, the sheriff, his deputies who incessantly demand higher and higher and higher wages while they do less and less and less for the community. I mean, Jesus, how many majors and corporals and colonels are there in that department that just sit at a desk? Well, I mean, I don't know. I think the average person looks at some of these deputies. Some of them look like they're. I mean, look, I'm an overweight guy, but some of these guys look like they're about 450 pounds. You'd have to carry them out of a building. And so you look at this. You look at the revolving door policy in our jail. You look at the selective application of prosecution by the district attorney, and I'm sure it'll just continue under his successor. What's the point? You could have a gold-plated prison and millionaire jail guards, and I don't think it would make a dime's worth of difference to where we're really at as a county. Our criminal justice system problems aren't going to be decided by more money in taxes. It's going to be made up, frankly, by people getting new political leadership and breaking from the good old boy system. And that's more than just voting against somebody like Melissa Cribbins or Drew Farmer. Bob Maine is just a different flavor of the same good old boy system.
Right.
We saw it every time he was put in a tough political situation, he would sell out.
Yep.
And that might well be what's costing him his job tonight. Again, there's still enough votes that he could come from behind, but I'd say that's a pretty wide margin to make up this.
That is a wide margin.
Late in the game.
Yeah.
I did the math. I think it's somewhere along the lines of 1,463 votes.
Who's winning in that race? Is it Farmer?
Yes.
Farmer.
Oh. Sorry.
And so, no, don't worry. I was going to say, though, that, I mean, Win Energy, people overwhelmingly shot it down. I think 20 years ago, that would have never happened in this county. And it's surprising. We've become more conservative, but we've seen a convergence on issues like wind energy and LNG, where people on the right and the left have figured out that all of their promises mean absolutely nothing. They'll just take and rape and pillage the community and then leave a discarded husk behind. And they'll take our money to do it, no less, with subsidies. I think people have woken up to the big lie of some white knight riding in from the government and saving us economically. I think also
not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
And the energy production is just bad science. It's crony capitalism, which offends both the right and the left. And so I was happy to see, despite all the divisiveness as far as the partisan breakdowns of races and how nasty some of the races have gotten, that we had one of these. Coos County had a kumbaya moment on taxes and on wind energy. So I consider that a win.
I do too. I think that's cool. I feel good about that. I feel good about it all the way around. And that's a good sign. We got Michaela joining us. Michaela, how you doing?
Hey, Rob. I'm doing pretty good. We just left Sam Frost's party, her election watch party. You guys know I'm a mom, so we've got to get home to my kiddos. But I wanted to jump in here and just see what you guys were up to. It's been a really exciting election night. Not everything's necessarily going the way that we want it to go right this moment, but I still have, I'm holding out hope for Trump. And I was telling Sam while we were at the party tonight that, this has been a really long 4 years of activism and getting involved. And even though we may not see these results come to fruition, basically overnight over the course of a 4-year term, I think we've moved the needle significantly in Oregon, and I'm really proud of all of us. And I'm so proud of Sam. Like she ran such a great race, and I'm looking at these early results. She doesn't even have her day of voting results in yet. And I'm just so proud of her and all of the wonderful patriots that I've met. So thanks for having me on the show, Rob.
No problem. But before you go, I got to ask, did your husband win the city council race?
Oh, well, no. And there's only about 1,500 votes in right now. So I don't know what we're looking at in terms of how many people we should be expecting to have vote. But he has a third of the votes right now. you guys may or may not have heard. It's actually pretty scandalous, and I'm going to take a moment, if you don't mind, on your show
Please
to
do,
expose
please
some
do.
scandals. But the Umpqua Valley Republican Women President sent out a mailer about my husband that included a whole bunch of lies from the news review. And I find it really concerning because my husband is a registered Republican. He's worked really hard for Republican campaigns. He's worked really hard. He's been a PCP for a while now. We've both been precinct committee people for a while. We've been involved in Republican things. And for the Umpqua Valley Republican Women President to send out an attack mailer against another Republican, I think is just such a terrible, terrible
Right.
thing. Margaret
yeah.
Shaw, that's her name, just in case you guys want to look her up. But she's the president right now, and her name is on the return address for this attack mailer that was sent out. Very, very disappointing. We know there's infighting within the Republican Party, but I think that it's very disappointing that people would use lies to try to discourage other Republicans from running for anything locally. I mean, these are small races. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah, and you already have to fight your opponent, and then you have to fight the party too. Yeah, it's a little.
Well, I don't even know why you would have to fight the party when you're part of the party. So it was very disturbing. But that's what Douglas County is about, and you guys know that. Rob, you were part of. I feel like the unveiling of the corruption that's happening in Douglas County, and unfortunately, you have suffered. I think a very significant financial loss, probably from the attacks that you've endured politically. And at some point, these people are probably going to be held accountable for their lies, I would assume. So
no, I mean, we went way out of our way to expose the David Brock Smith stuff, which got Rob into trouble. And then when Rob and Diane wanted to go and talk to the Roseburg, Douglas County got all the Roseburg Six in trouble, which So essentially what it did is it exposed the fact that we're being run by a bunch of spineless, weak rhinos who say they're Republicans, and then they show up with their thugs to beat down people that are daring to say, maybe we should run a different candidate, or maybe we should question whether our candidate has got ethics and morals like we think he does, or why did he vote for tampons in the boys' bathroom, and why did he vote to put the wind turbines off the coast? And it's like, oh my God, you can't ask David Brock Smith these questions, and if you do,
hold on,
I'm gonna business. So it's like, it's so basically what we've exposed is that it's a uniparty system, especially in Douglas County and Coos County, where the Republicans are not Republicans. And, Bob Main didn't run as a Republican because they've never given him any money. And I didn't see anybody in the Republican Party like waving flags that say, vote yes on 6-219, or hey, let's vote for Todd Vaughn for Senate District 1. No, I mean, these people have gone well out of their way to show their colors and or show their smell, and they certainly stink. So
well, the Libertarian candidate in Senate District 5, Sonia Feintesh, she got free advertising from the Democrats when they sent out flyers claiming to be her, or trying to put the impersonation that she was sending out these flyers against DeReamer in the 5th District. Matt, tell us about that, because that was a really kind of an interesting story as well.
Yeah, it's something we've seen happen a number of times in modern Oregon politics, especially in the post-Citizens United era, where super PACs and dark money reigned supreme. Sonia and the Libertarian Party had nothing to do with those mailers. It was put out by a left-leaning PAC, obviously hoping to attack Congresswoman DeReamer on the right, but knowing that if it came from with Bynum's name on it, that it would ring hollow, obviously. And so clearly trying to use Sonia to be the hatchet woman in this situation, even though she had nothing to do with the creation of the flyer. But sadly, that's perfectly legal. They're allowed to do independent expenditures and things of that nature. And we can't really do much about it, except for point it out when we see it and say when we don't like it. But
actually, I thought it worked to your benefit. Didn't it work to the candidate's benefit? Because then she got all the free news of everyone talking about that story, which was just really incredibly interesting.
well, I think there's speculation on that from both sides. I think some people say, well, it's negative and it creates a negative first impression with the third party candidate with the voters. But at the same time, if it were a well done piece, that'd be one thing. But these pieces were, the problem is this, and the Republicans tried to do a similar thing with the Green Party candidate in the 4th Congressional District back in 2022, Mike Bielstein.
Mm-hmm.
And Republicans put out a mailer seeming like Bielstein or his supporters put this out, talking about the things that he would want to do and trying to create a wedge on the left between Val Hoyle and the Greens. But the problem is they didn't know the issues of the Green Party well enough to know which issues to actually focus on to create the wedge. And so much like that mailer was very ineffective and really had no change in the ultimate outcome of the race, or had no impact on the ultimate outcome of the race. I think this mailer put out by Bynum-leaning super PACs probably maybe boosted name ID a little bit, but I don't know much what else we got out of it. Because it's clear, or from early on in this race, the press, the establishment media, had a blackout on third-party candidates in this race, especially our candidate. In many instances, I would argue it's because our candidate was the most clearly identified with a consistent anti-war ethic, that they're against continuing support for the just slaughter in the Ukraine, where they're just being wiped out every day by the Russians at taxpayer expense. And, of course, what many of us believe to be a genocide in occupied Palestine. And so the press obviously generally tends to not like that kind of a consistent candidate. Bynum supports the Ukrainians and the Israelis in their conflict, and so does Lori DeRemer. The press establishment in this state, television, legacy media like the newspapers, are all tied in one way or the other, either to the armaments industry or into the long-term political health of the two major party candidates. And so it was a real wake-up call. I knew we were going to face very little media coverage, but just the outright refusal, even when in the most relevant races, to give us coverage, really did shock me. So in the end, it's hard to tell how much these things actually impact the race when we didn't even get a news story out of those mailers. Can you believe that? I mean, those mailers went out. We didn't even get an interview.
I noticed that. It was just a video I saw on her own social media. The guy on there from the Independent Party, Brett Smith, he got 4.3%, 11,000 votes, and I never even heard of that guy. And he got quite a bit more than what Sonia did, and Sonia seemed to be tearing it up down there. It's
funny, Willamette Week, the Oregonian, K2, all gave press to this fella. And I think, I will not cast aspersions on the Independent Party of Oregon. Their business is their business. But if you look at their endorsements this year, the only Republican they endorsed in the entire state was David Brock Smith. The rest were left Democrats. And in a few races like this, they ran their own candidate. I think they realized an independent, and remember when they were a major party and they had to hold primaries that were open to the public, most of their primaries yielded conservative candidates. And so in the 5th district, I think they made a calculated decision to know that their nominee would hurt Lori DeRemer and help Janelle Bynum. And I think the press, knowing that his message, which was not ideological on the issue of the war or crony capitalism or the phony democracy that we have in this country today, this highly manipulated democracy, let me say that, and controlled. And so he was a much better candidate for the media's ends in advancing Bynum than was Sonia, who would be talking about issues on foreign policy they didn't want discussed. So that's why I have the sneaking suspicion this fellow got so much more coverage despite running a much less vigorous campaign.
That's interesting. And I love how they figure that out. How they do that on purpose, intentionally on that. Hey, Sam. Sam, can you hear me?
I can. Yes.
How's the party going?
It's going good. In fact, a gal here showed me a picture of a minute second of Oregon being red. So I was showing you that phone page, and I cannot send it. She sent it to me, and I can't send it across to you guys for some odd reason. But the Oregon for a minor second was red. So I think Oregon, to be honest, this is my honest opinion. I think that Oregon, the people are red. It's just the politicians that are blue. So are you taking off? Oh, okay.
Well, I was
Okay.
gobsmacked by the fact that Matt Rowe called David Brock Smith a Republican. But I mean, other than that,
The who called me a Republican?
no. Matt Rowe was saying, it's like these guys were backing all the Democrats except for David Brock Smith, and I'm going, what? David Brock Smith is not a Democrat? When did that start?
Right. Yeah. No, he's a total libtard, I think. So he goes by all the libtard values. My opinion.
Well, doesn't surprise me. Well, I'm sorry to hear about your election there. Hang in there, Sam. There's always other chances. You never know.
Well, to be honest, I when I talk to people, it's like these people want exactly what I'm actually going for, or what my stance is. But I think that our own Republican Party has made them so confused. They don't know who to vote for, and they don't know what to do. And
That
so
could be it. Yeah, that could be definitely high potential in your area.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, they completely eviscerated the Republican Party in Douglas County, and the only person that anybody out there understands is Dan Loomis, because he's already there. He's the incumbent, and you're not going to get any respect or support from anybody else, because I was there in Roseburg when everybody, the Roseburg Six basically got shown the curb. And it's like, wow, this is how you guys are recruiting people into the Republican Party, by taking out your top 6 people and then having the police called on Rob Taylor and other people for showing up to voice an opinion. And it's like, really? I mean, I was standing in the parking lot, and 6 cop cars and 8 police guys showed up. And I started talking to them. I go, why are you guys here? And they said, oh, we heard there was like some violent protest going on, and we had to come over immediately and break it up. And I was like, okay, look around you. Do you see any violent protests going on? Do you see anything but people that are being polite on the curb? And they're going, no, we don't. And I'm going, yeah, just keep that in your head when you find out who actually got this whole
I love
thing
when
going.
you got 4 cops walk around the corner and they're all looking at you like, oh, so what are you doing? Well, I'm standing here. Well, okay, I'm just holding a sign, officer.
on
Okay.
the sidewalk, right? You were on the
Yeah.
sidewalk.
Yeah, and they go up to, I forget the guy. I think it was Rob. His name
Price.
is Rob Price.
Price, probably.
was standing there, and he goes, "Well, do something about him." And the cop goes up to him and says, "Well, he's not doing anything."
Yeah, and we were actually going out of our way to stand off the sidewalk just in case somebody said, oh, we're blocking the sidewalk. I was helping elderly people out of their cars.
Helping elderly people out of the car.
And up the steps so they can get into the meeting. And then the cops show up, and we're standing on the dirt next to the sidewalk, next to the stand. And the police guy was like, And so you guys are the big violent protesters? And I'm going, yeah, exactly. Check me out. I am so very dangerous. And the guy started laughing, and I'm going,
Marty, the sad part is we probably helped people into the meeting who were voting against the January or the Rosebud 6. So
Roseburg
yeah,
6. Yeah, I know. We were
That's-
helping out the enemy. We were so
we were
proud.
helping out the enemy.
So how do they not know the law though? Okay, tell me. So I just read an article on Sheriff Hanlon
Yeah.
and how long he has been a detective and a police officer, and he worked with undercover drug units and all this stuff since 1980s, right? So
Yeah.
how does he not know that you can actually stand on a public sidewalk holding a sign? How does he not know that law? I just don't understand it. Like either he is part of the corruption and the cabal and he's just being way outward about it, or he's an absolute moron for the last 30 years of being a police officer. I mean, what is it? You know?
It might be a combo effect. It might be that he knows what side of the toast is buttered here, or what side of the bread is buttered on this one. Or it might be that he's just a complete idiot. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, I had the county clerk yelling at me for having a conversation in a public hallway. So, I mean, it doesn't serve, if it doesn't serve their political agenda, they're going to scream at you, even if they don't have any basis in fact.
So these people, the county clerks, the ones that I have listened to. So I was interviewed by Jefferson Broadcasting Network. And before I interviewed with him, I listened to an interview with 3 county clerks. And all 3 county clerks were saying the right exact language for their Marxist lockstep. All of our 36 county clerks are in lockstep with each other, and it is crazy. It's upsetting to me that is the language, that they are in lockstep with each other. And the fact, where was I going with that, Marty?
Well, essentially, they're all working from the same script. I mean, I was trying to explain it to my wife today. She goes, "Well, I don't understand what's going on." I said, "Well, here's the thing: the county clerk is getting her marching orders from the Secretary of State. The county clerk can only do what the Secretary of State tells her." I get along great with our 2 elections officers, Lark and Sarah. I talk to them all the time, and they're very forthcoming. And if I have questions or I'm confused, they answer them. If I talk to the county clerk, she starts screaming at me about misinformation, disinformation, ruining our democracy, and so forth and so on. And I'm like going, if you look at the Coos County website, it has all this information about transparency and how to spot misinformation. And, and I'm like, none of the above. I should be suing you for a false advertising website because it's just horribly, horribly wrong. And it's like, these people were selected.
They were.
I mean, and it's our county clerk is like, and have you ever been, next to like a feral cat or a cornered animal when they know there's nothing left they can do and they turn super vicious? That's what's happening with my county clerk. She's just so gobsmacked by the fact that we ask questions that are impossible to answer.
I have to tell you, she was really incredibly nice to me today when I went down there.
I found that surprising. I mean,
yeah, she was incredibly nice to me and my wife. She got a ballot for my wife. She allowed me to tape my envelope closed because I ripped my envelope. So the county clerk was actually really nice to me. So I have to give her kudos to that. Matt, do you know the county clerk? Are you familiar with Julie Brecky?
Never met her.
Interesting. She
No,
came
I
from
mean,
nowhere.
I have the feeling if her name had been Julie Smith, she might not have been a county clerk.
Yeah.
I think having a mommy for a state senator who is completely tied into the establishment is how you go from having zero experience in running elections to being a county clerk when the establishment deems it.
Yeah, well, that's an actually good point, because I was super curious about how the heck she got elected, because if I remember rightly, she was like on the school board in Coos Bay and ran for clerk against some people that were well known. I mean, and all of a sudden she gets like twice as many votes as everybody else, and I'm like going, so that smacks to me like someone that was selected to be put in office because they fit what the machine wanted them to do. Very similar to Kamala Harris, who worked her way up through the ranks in California. One, because she was sleeping with Willie Brown, who was the kingmaker of California, but two, because the machine said so. They needed somebody that was going to be. I mean, Willie Brown put her in as the DA of San Francisco, because then all the corruption charges against Willie Brown as the mayor of San Francisco magically disappeared. But that's a different thing. I mean, as Matt brought up, it was Brecky being part of the political machine was what essentially got her into that position.
I didn't know that. Well, I'll have to talk to Matt more about that.
Yeah,
That's
I didn't know that one
interesting.
either, but that would.
I didn't know that.
That would.
By the way, have we still gotten have we yet to get an official statement from the Postal Service saying that this is all their fault?
You know, it's interesting you asked that, because Rod Taylor just jumped on. Commissioner Rod Taylor. Rod, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, Rob. How are you doing? I was looking at Marty over there.
Oh, pretty good. Matt was asking if we received any official explanation from the U.S. Post Office on the delayed ballots.
Not to my knowledge. And I actually don't know what the numbers were of the. I mean, I don't know how many people got that corrected and got their ballots picked up on the messaging from the sheriff's office and the newspaper and all the avenues that were used to convey that message out.
So she doesn't have a total number of how many people didn't get their ballots. Does she know even that number there?
Yeah, that number actually, I think there were actually about 900 was the number.
Yeah, I can read you if you like, I can read you the message I got regarding the subject.
Great, Marty.
Yeah, so essentially, from Julie Brecky to Colton Totland, I have a hard time pronouncing his name. It says, here's the update I received from the Secretary of State. The Postal Service is aware of the concerns raised by the Coos County Clerk's Office regarding ballot mail. The Postal Service received and processed 49,255 ballots for Coos County on October 17th. 98% of those ballots were properly processed and delivered. However, there was a sorting issue affecting 985 ballots. The Postal Service has been in consistent communication with the county officials, which has been the case throughout the course of this year, including a meeting Wednesday, October 30th. The Postal Service will continue to work with Coos County clerks to resolve this issue. This was an email from Adrienne Marshall, the Executive Director of Election and Government Mail Services with the United States Postal Service in Washington, D.C.
Notice they don't say what the cause of the sorting issue is, because there could be. That isn't necessarily the Postal Service's fault if there's inaccurate information or errors on the ballots.
Right.
Could be something.
So that doesn't. I mean, that sounds to me almost like a CYA letter. I mean, they're not necessarily admitting fault, and no, I'm not casting aspersions on the integrity of our election or the integrity of our election workers. It's just amazing, as Sam pointed out. We've had vote by mail for 26 years. It's amazing that this is the first time it happened in Coos County history. Even more so with a county clerk who had no experience whatsoever in election law or the administration of elections before the establishment picked her. I'm not again saying anything untoward happened. I just find it to be a hell of a coincidence.
It's a hell of a coincidence.
Yeah.
But hey, if she would have had armed guards to ride with the ballot boxes, this would have been all avoidable.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
So
and they did have the security guy out front today when I came in to make sure that I didn't have a gun with me. So I'm sure, you know. But I mean,
wow.
But
I ran our active voter rolls. I got the voter rolls for Coos County of all active voters, and I ran it through the United States Postal Service Address Verification Program. It's called CAS, and I came up with 400 invalid mailing addresses. Well, if it's all mail-in ballots, where are these 400 ballots going? So the fact that they got 950, that was a sorting error. I'm also going well, where are all the ones going that are invalid mailing addresses? So, more questions, more curious questions in Coos County.
So I have noticed that blaming the post office has been our county clerk's MO as well. So our county clerk before the 2022 election got up and told everybody that HB 3291 had passed. So he has to now include non-postmarked, non-date stamped ballots. And it's all the fault of the post office because the post office doesn't have enough resources. So it seems to be the county clerk's MO to just point their finger at the post office. And I have a friend that works at the Roseburg post office, and she is sick and tired of the everyone blaming them for all the county clerk's malfeasance. Who's supposed to conduct the elections? The county clerk.
Clerk, yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah, when you
period.
blame somebody else, I mean, it's like every time you point the finger at somebody else, you got three fingers pointing back at you because, when they say, "Oh, it's the postal service," that's the problem. Oh, it's the ballot reading devices that have a problem. It's the, hey, you know what?
well,
If it was in person, one day in person, precinct level, ID mandatory, none of this stuff would be an issue. So you're blaming the postal service. Well, great. You just basically said that the postal, mail-in ballots can't be trusted if you're saying the postal service is a problem.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So if they're going to blame the postal service, why brag about the mail-in votes? It doesn't make any sense to me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a 1983 Yugo, and I want to be a NASCAR driver, but it's the car's fault. It's not
So,
me.
so Rod, since you're joining us, you've seen the local results, haven't you?
I have seen some of the local results, yes, Rob. It looks like we've won big on the wind question, and I couldn't be more pleased with that. I'm not surprised at all. In fact, I said it would be 60-40, and that's exactly what it is.
Nice. Yeah, they got almost 80% in Curry County.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's
in
amazing.
in Curry County, 95% of the people that cast a ballot for the win thing, and 80% of the people that voted on the win thing voted to say no to the win thing. So, I mean, yeah, I'm pretty happy that the fact that we got, I'm pretty happy the fact that we've got 60% to 39%. But man, they blew us out of the water when it came to percentages. And as of 9:15, the vote for Bob Main, the latest update at 9:15, says that Robert Main has 9,814 votes, and Drew Farmer has 11,277. So it's 47% to 53% at this moment.
Well, and interestingly, the margin there is seemingly well beyond whatever the fate of those 980 ballots was.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, let's look. I'll have to do the math on that one, but I always find it interesting that somebody is winning by 53% because in all three counties, David Brock Smith got 53% plus or minus 0.2% in every single county, and I'm like, that's pretty amazing.
Huh.
Why is it always that number?
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question, but I did want to speak to the conversation earlier about those lost ballots, and my understanding is that the culpability likely is with the printer and not the postal service, and probably not with the clerk either. However, or at least not directly with the clerk, but it is the clerk's responsibility to make sure that whoever is being contracted to print and mail those ballots is doing it correctly. And if this is, I think this is our second problem that we've had like this, and that's noteworthy. So I think it's time for the clerk to look to a different solution to provide this service. I mean, the ultimate solution we all know is same day, 1 day in-person voting with ID on paper, counted by hand without machines. We all know that, but that's not someplace we're going to be able to get next week or next year, if ever. But in the meantime, they've got to make sure that if they're going to mail those ballots out, that those lists have to be clean, and that the mailings have to be right.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. And the thing I find surprising is that, bulk mailing houses, and I'm assuming that we send off our mailing lists to, we send off our list to bulk mailing houses. And I asked Lark if I could get a copy of that list, which she wouldn't give me, because she said, well, there are addresses on there that I can't divulge. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want the address of the sheriff or whatever. But my question is bulk mailing houses have their own interface to the United States Postal Service address verification interface. Why can't they say, oh, and we will verify your addresses before we mail these to save you a little bit of postage? I mean, that's just another step that they could do.
Yeah, that sounds feasible too, Marty, and I don't have any way to know if that's the issue that actually affected this instance. I know that in the past, when we had this problem, I believe in the May primary, that the issue was an error in the way that the printer had packaged the sorting of the envelopes. So how that fouls up the system and turns into such a profound delay, I don't know. Whether that was
right
here, I don't know.
Yeah, because the way you save money in bulk mailing, because I used to work at a place that did a lot of that, is that you have to sort it in the right order and put the boxes in the right order, so that they don't actually look what's in the boxes. They just throw the boxes into the various bins where the mail is supposed to go. So if the mailing house put the wrong envelopes in the wrong boxes that were not in the right order, then perhaps that could happen. But I mean, this all points out to the fact that mail-in voting still kind of sucks, to put it bluntly.
Absolutely. Mail-in ballot, definitely. Before you guys, because I want to continue this conversation, but I know, Matt, you had to get out of here. You got to do some reporting for the Libertarian Party, right?
Yeah, I've got some things I've got to prep for what to do next after the events of tonight.
Right. Well, good luck with that.
Well, I appreciate it. And we're going to keep holding the Republicans' feet to the fire, and the Democrats both. It looks like we've got another split decision from the voters. It's great to see the people of Coos County resoundingly rejected the tax increase and wind energy. At the same time, the establishment maintains control of the local and the state. So it's a symbolic victory, I suppose, for downstate conservatives. But beyond that, I don't see overly that much to get excited about in Oregon, except for that the voters rejected the ranked choice voting initiative.
Thank goodness.
Yes, and that politicians, hopefully it looks like it's still a close vote, will have to still take the hit and vote for their own pay increases in the legislature, as opposed to dumping it off on a advisory commission that would be appointed. So there are some, yeah. And I was going to say that so there are some positives to be taken out of tonight.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen some of our libertarian candidates do a little bit better, but the night's still young. Their vote counts can go up a bit, but it's clear we've got more work to do to build on some of our more recent successes. At the same time, we played a critical role in costing the warmongering Rhino, Kevin McCarthy, Nikki Haley, Republican, Lori Chavez DeRemer re-election. So I think that that's a feather in our cap. So no, it's been great being here as always, Rob, and I'm glad to come on anytime.
You got it, Matt. You take care, okay, man?
Take care, bud. Talk to you soon.
All right. Marty, Rod, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You guys were talking about the vote and the turnout and how, it was a mixed bag. Rod, it looks like you're probably going to have to be working with Drew Farmer. It
looks like Drew and I will be working together, and we'll see what kinds of things we can collaborate on to the benefit of the county. Drew has some different ideas that he brings to the table, and anticipate a different kind of energy, of course.
Right.
And we'll see how that works out.
You guys could always paint the town with rainbows.
Well,
Sorry.
I don't think Drew's going to be able to muster up the votes for that. If that were an initiative he wanted to undertake, I don't think that's going to get by the majority on the board. So whatever ideas Drew wants to bring to the table is gonna be still subject to the counsel and wisdom of John Sweet and myself. And John's got pretty good judgment on most issues, I would say. We don't always agree, but John has a lot of wisdom, and he's a very smart guy. He's a good commissioner, and we'll work well together going forward.
I am so disappointed that you're not going to get rainbow carpeting in the Owens building, because that would be so fabulous.
Well, Marty, I think you could assuage this situation a little bit by just coming to our BOC meetings wearing a rainbow jumpsuit.
There you go.
I could do that. I got some rainbow tie dye. I got all sorts of paraphernalia. So yeah,
good.
Why not?
So,
go ahead, Rod.
No, Rob, you go ahead. You sound like you had a question.
Oh no, I just got a private message from Sam. Sam, you got to go.
Well, I was gonna clear out my tab, and almost everybody has left tonight, except for just a few couple, and I was just gonna clear my tab and talk about, what happens now. So, do I go home depressed? To be honest, I don't think I am. I think that this is a fight that I will that I'm going to continue.
Cool.
I know the facts. Marty, you have spoken to Dr. Douglas Frank. I know what the machines are doing. I know that this is machines. I know that this is not the actual results. This is what they want. This is what the deep state wants, the cabal wants. This is not the actual results. And I will contest anything in any way that I know how. I will contest it, and I will not pay $60,000 to contest it. I don't care what he says. So, yeah, sorry.
Oh no, I was going to say there's absolutely no point in getting a recount or anything like that, because they're going to use the same mechanisms they used to get the count in the original, the original way. So it's like, well, we will recount these ballots using the exact same methodology we used to count the ballots in the first place, And then we're really going to be surprised if we get a different number, because they would be surprised. But the one takeaway that you can have, Sam, is 11,000, as of now, 11,500 people have said Dan Loomis is a jerk, and you're not. So that's
Right?
your takeaway. You've got 11,500 people in Douglas County that go, you know what, Dan Loomis is a jerk, and you're not. So there you go.
That's kind of nice.
Statement.
That's nice.
What
like
do you guys
that.
think that's impressive? Michaela thinks that's impressive. I'm like,
You got 37,000 or 37% of the people they voted for you. That's pretty good. That's not bad.
Okay, if you guys think so, I guess I won't.
Yeah,
I
I
won't
think
be
that's
so
good.
depressed. So here I am thinking that hey, I'm gonna win this election. Blah 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 blah. Nah. I mean, I knew that I was up against the machines, and I'm up against the establishment, and I'm up against, the Republicans, my own party, and apparently the Democrats that think I'm crazy for thinking that those machines have Wi-Fi access, even though the Democrat Attorney General actually said that they do. So I'm up against a
Yeah.
lot of things. So I guess, yeah.
Yeah, and in
Cool.
Coos County, in Washington County, in the court case, the county clerk in Washington County, Oregon, they use the exact same election systems that we use here in Coos County, and she said in court, on record, that one of my jobs every day is to turn the modems on and off, and I can do it all by myself. I am so proud of that. And I'm like, and then they say we got no modems in Coos County, and I'm like, they're the exact same machines. But anyway, hey, look, we got Ben.
They are.
peeking in
We
here.
got Ben Edel on here, man.
That's cool.
But anyway, Sam, it's like, the thing is you got a lot of courage to take up this fight. I know that Dan Loomis is going to be an almost impossibility, because he kind of controls, it's like the Good Old Boy Network. He kind of controls that whole thing. He did some things that were election violations that, you could report him, but what's the point? I mean, the whole thing is at some point, people are going to get tired of this, and it will work out better. And like I said, 11,500 people in your neighborhood agree with you on that one. So go home happy.
Go home happy, Sam.
Well,
Go
thank
home
you.
happy.
And then, I'll hack into the computers later, and I'll give you an extra 50,000 votes. And,
We like that. We like that, Marty.
Yeah, give me a win, Marty. Give me a win. Give me a win.
And I'm like, okay, and so total votes were 31,000, and Samantha Frost got 65,323, and we're pretty certain the elections are clean and effective. So
Right.
Effective. They're good. Can't be hacked.
Anybody that says otherwise is an election denier.
Right.
And yeah, exactly. And you can believe Marty. Don't worry.
That's right.
Hey guys, it looks like we got Ben Edel on the line. Ben, how you doing, man?
Hey,
Hi,
I'm good. How are
Ben.
you guys doing? Hi,
Pretty.
hey, Sam. Hey, everybody. I can't see. Looks like
It's
All right, you
Rod
guys.
Taylor.
I'm out. I'll see you
Marty's
guys
in.
later. Bye.
Okay, Sam, thanks so
Hey,
much for
see you
coming.
guys
It's great.
later.
Bye. Thank
It's always
you.
great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
Yes, you too.
All right. Her microphone was noisy. She was in a noisy place.
Wow, it got quiet.
Yeah,
It
she
did
was-
get
It's
quiet.
quiet now.
She was in a bar, and she was closing her tab, so I think that was the sound of about a dozen people running for the door, so they didn't have to chip in. So
Yeah.
it could be that.
That sounds about it. Ben, how'd you do?
Well, I'm actually shocked. What happened up here? What really just happened in terms of going into this election day, in which Republicans in the Portland metro area were turning out my phone. I'm on my phone right now, and I'm going to put on silent. Hold on. It's just distracting. It's just blowing up. There we go. Just seeing that Republicans were turning out Democrats by 10%, turning them out, right? We were early vote, and still that doesn't mean that there's more Republicans voting than Democrats. But to see the disparity between every single race, Lori Chavez DeRemer, Mike Erickson, every single Republican that came within 100 votes in 2022, and seeing this massive spread of a widening gap. We lost 2 Clackamas County commissioners, conservative commissioners too. And you're telling me that everyone I know, everyone I speak to, everyone I hear about, everyone I hear another person, everyone is tired of watching the city of Portland and the Portland metro area disintegrate into chaos. It's become normalized to board up your windows if you're a business in Portland leading up to Election Day, because political violence is normal now. The First Interstate Bank, U.S. Bank, these banks are leaving the city. Businesses are fleeing the area. People are leaving the city and fleeing the area. Yet they all voted unanimously and by very wide margins to keep all the same people in power who created this mess and eject everyone in power who they elected previously to prevent this mess. It makes no sense. The other thing that makes no sense is that the measures, these socialist communist measures that were widely defeated, ranked choice voting, Measure 118, the free money for everybody, even though it costs you 10 times more in taxes, those all got defeated, showing handedly that people are done with these communist Marxist policies. Yet they all voted to preserve people like Janelle Bynum, who was an integral partner of Joanne Hardesty to defund the police in 2020 and 2021.
Right.
None of this makes any sense. I'm not disappointed. I'm in a D20 district, so I did not expect to win my race. Right. But I did expect for us to get some wins. And I haven't done the math yet, but even Jeff Helfrich is down. And so here we're going to end up in a super majority again going into the 2025 legislative session. Is this really what the Portlanders, the metro area voters really want? Do you want another super majority period in 2025? Are you kidding me? No, there's no way I believe it. I do not believe that's what they want, but that's what we have. And I just don't believe it's true. I just can't. I don't know. It makes no sense.
Yeah, I can see what you and like you said, if it wasn't for the dichotomy between what they decided with the measures and what they're deciding on as the people putting back into office, it makes no freaking sense whatsoever. I'm watching the same thing. It's like they're voting against a guy here in Coos County. They voted down Bob Main so far is what it looks like. And yet he's much more conservative than Drew Farmer. And yet they also killed a tax here by 65%.
You know what that tells me? And it just tells me that it's likely, okay? It's likely that some races are fixed with predetermined algorithms and some races aren't, because they just don't do it. It makes no sense. These are things that just don't add up. And
no, they don't. Right.
They don't add up. And I honestly, I do not believe it. I just can't. I'm sorry. I'm going to come out here today and I'm not going to, Ben Adams whining because he lost another election. Look, I've won my elections to be the Republican voice for my district 2 cycles in a row. And I'm going to be that goddamn voice. And right now my heart is like, what is this? This does not make any sense at all. Janelle Bynum, come on. This isn't what we just elected DeReamer to not have Bynum's policies, and now we want them back. This makes no sense. None of it makes sense. It doesn't add up. I'm sorry.
No, I got it. And I'm glad that's why I wanted you on here, because I knew you were going to have a total. When I was looking at the numbers coming out, that was what you just said was exactly the way I was taking it too. And it was like, it's just weird. They're voting for the same counselors. They're voting for the same. Well, like you said, in Clackamas, they replaced 2 good commissioners with 2 really lousy commissioners. I don't know what. I've got to go check it over. I got a buddy over in Columbia County. I know he was fighting against 2 very leftist commissioners as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And someone, I have some of my close friends and family here tonight with me. not very many people, just a few people. And, we were trying to make sense of this, and we're just literally brainstorming, like, how could this actually in reality go down? And, one person said, and these are all politically savvy people. They're like, well, maybe it's because of abortion and because of this. And I just don't believe it. It wasn't that wasn't the issue. That wasn't what the polls were telling us. That wasn't what all the polls were neck and neck. It just doesn't make any sense to be blown out this bad. I mean, for Erickson to lose by, 8-10 points, for me to lose by 25 points, like this is, it really doesn't make sense considering that in 2022, Walters won by 8 points. So anyway, I'm blown away by it. It doesn't make much sense to see Masterman's progress become 400% wider. He's down 4 or 5 points. Amy Rainier is out. I mean, we're all out. Helfrich is now 0.2% down, and that's with Republicans out early voting Democrats by 10-12%. So we'll see. I think there's a lot of Republicans that still waited to vote till the last minute. But one of the funny things is in Clackamas County, which is the largest portion of my district in terms of the county, we had they're using an outdated ballot processing machine where it separates the ballots before they go in and get counted. And as of Friday, there were 48,000 ballots returned that they hadn't been able to go through, and by using human hands could only do about 2,000 a day. And for 2 years, they've sat with a brand new ballot sorter in the box that they haven't used. And so they're using the one that's at the end of its life that is breaking down constantly, and why 2 years ago they were able to get approval from the Clackamas County Commission to purchase this new sorter for $660,000 $660,000 to $700,000, but they never took it out of the box. So we got this backlog of stacked ballots, and we don't really know what's happening. And even as of yesterday, we were looking at historically low turnouts, and now all of a sudden it's 50% and higher, even in Clackamas County, with all those ballots somehow unsorted. So there's a lot of questions here. In leading in, we had the issues with all these illegal aliens getting registered to vote, and they're doing spot check audits. But guess what? They're not going to do an audit with a supermajority in the Democrats, will they? They're not going to full audit of ODOT, and they're not going to do a full audit of our voter registration, our motor voter registration system.
No,
it's not going to happen now.
No. Well, what do you think with the lawsuit, Judicial Watch coming in? Do you think that's actually going to have an effect? Do you think they're going to have to clean anything?
Yeah, I think it'll have the same effect as when the federal courts came in and said you had to clean the bum camps off the sidewalks in downtown Portland. Nothing. See, the states have power, and the states have lawmakers that make their own laws. And so the feds did rule. The federal the federal courts did rule against for ADA to clean up the sidewalks. They didn't do it, and now they're going to order and rule that we have to clean the voter rolls. Doesn't mean they're going to do it.
Right.
There's more and more legal processes that have to happen. The very fact that they don't want to clean up the voter rolls tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that plays right into right here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where I see at midnight they've got trucks of ballots pulling into the counting center. So it all goes together. It's a multifaceted program to steal an election. It's a very complicated thing to do. But,
and you look at Nevada. Nevada's not even reporting, and this is what happened last time, and they're not even reporting. Of course, they have their polls open until 10 p.m. And what we see in Clackamas County is the same thing we're probably seeing elsewhere around the country in these zones. Is that the clerk's office is under the executive branch, and so there's all kinds of systems and processes and things happening that could easily bring the ballots in and get them checked off. But we can't see inside the system. It's a closed box system. There's another lawsuit that's happening that's actually in the Supreme Court by Dana Hinman Allen, who ran for Clackamas County Commissioner. and May Wong. And this is in 2022 when May Wong ran for Metro. And May Wong has screenshots of her ballot count. It started out with her winning the position. And then over the next 24 to 36 hours, her vote count went down. Her total number of votes were getting diminished by 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 votes. And so she requested recounts and they refused her. Then she wanted to know how her total vote count went down, and they refused to tell her that too. And they went to federal court, and now they're going before the Supreme Court of the United States. And they're representing themselves pro se. And I think this is a fascinating case to watch.
Indeed.
I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to check it out.
I mean,
there were so many going through.
I didn't
Yep.
read that May had progressed that to the Supreme Court. That is phenomenal news.
It's phenomenal news. It's miraculous.
Yeah, basically the fact that they, essentially it was a pro se thing, meaning they didn't have a truckload of lawyers working for them. And the fact that they got all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted such that they will put it in such a way that the Supreme Court will look at it. Now they get like 800 of these and they look at maybe 80 of them. So it doesn't guarantee that the Supreme Court's going to see it, but at least it puts it in the pool of things that can be seen. So that's, the first step forward. I mean, they were accepted. My understanding is they're going to be heard. Their case is going to get heard. Did you hear something different? It's basically a minutia kind of thing where it's like their paperwork was accepted and put into the pool of things that may be looked at. So, so they're in the pool of like, let's say 800 cases that can be looked at. So they've jumped that hurdle. Now, are they actually going to get it heard in front of the Supreme Court is another big thing. So, but the whole thing is well, at least they've jumped that hurdle successfully. Yeah, it's big. It's very big. I was party to Thielman v. Fagan, and that was declined by the Supreme Court 2 weeks before the primary election. And that was a voter disenfranchisement case. And when we look back at it, I kind of think that it's a genius case. It should have been taken, but it was so big that I think that it was like hot potato, like let's slowly chip this away, because if that case was heard, then we would have seen massive I think the courts would have had to rule in our favor and show massive fraud in Oregon, and we would have and then what do you do, right? Do we just start putting people in jail? I think
that would have been a huge problem. Yeah, they don't want to open that up, and I think that was the problem across the nation, is that the courts didn't want to open up this mess of what was really going on with our election system. They were afraid. I totally believe that. Yeah.
Of all the cases that were proposed, everybody goes, well, Trump lost all those cases. No, he did not lose them. The courts
not one shred of evidence was ever looked at by a judge or a jury.
The courts refused to look at them because the courts know if they do, then they're putting themselves in danger. I mean, they are going to be at 4:00 in the morning on CNN. They're going to get their front doors kicked open by SWAT teams, and they're going to get perp walk out for some contrived violation of some law somewhere.
Well, they'll find that P. Diddy video. That's what they'll do.
Yeah.
Actually, though, the cases, Trump's cases from 2022 were all jurisdictional. So that they argued that it was the wrong jurisdiction. You had to go to state court. Trump argued you had to go to federal court because this was a federal elections crimes, or federal elections complaints. What was brilliant about Thielman v. Fagan was that we went to the Supreme Court. We succeeded through, with Stephen Jonkis as the primary counsel. We succeeded in defeating the state of Oregon's attempt to fight through the jurisdictional argument, which we did succeed. We were one of the first elections cases that went to the Supreme Court and succeeded the jurisdiction argument, because technically, legally, voting is a state issue. The states control how the votes work. But if there's disenfranchisement, then it becomes a constitutional rights violation, a free speech violation. So we were able to get as far as going to the Supreme Court, but I think that's when what Marty's saying is correct. we don't want this. Too much too soon. And I think that's why Dana and May's case is picked up, because it's very specific. It looks at one part, it looks at one piece. And I think strategically moving forward with our election systems, we need to do what Judicial Watch is doing. Let's go after the voter rolls. Let's go after the right to see the recounts and to inspect ballots and to confirm that these are legit. And, let's look at this in parts, and let's take it apart in parts so that we don't end up with, a situation where a state decides, well, we're just going to have to say screw you to the federal government. And then you know what that leads to.
Right. Totally.
Especially if Trump's president. I think we're in precarious times on the West Coast. I think that these election numbers do not make sense. I do not trust our election system. It has been designed in the state legislature, looking at the laws themselves, to create an unfair advantage, otherwise a cheat, for the one party that's in control of the government of all three branches. And now we're looking at evidence that something isn't lining up with the sentiment in the community that we all know. And
Right.
So this is a huge issue. If Trump's president for the next 4 years, and the West Coast decides that they no longer want to respect basic civil rights, and they've already signed the West Coast State Pact, Oregon, Washington, California, now Colorado, Nevada, and Arizona left. These are the 4 states that do have the power, especially with California being one of the largest economies in the world. They can say, we're a new country now, come and take it. And what are they going to do with people like us?
Right. What are they going to do with people like us? Good question. I don't know. Let's hope it don't come to that.
Let's hope it doesn't. Let's pray it doesn't. But
Yeah.
The elections issue is paramount to preventing that from occurring.
Right.
We
Well,
have
Ben,
to
I want to thank you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I said we have to fix our elections. We have to have transparency, basic transparency.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And we're working on that on our end. We're going to be, doing what Dr. Frank is recommending and stuff. And until we have the evidence, we don't have shit. You know what I mean? We got a lot of anomalies. We see a lot of strange weirdness anomalies, but we got to have the hardcore evidence, and that's going to take a little bit of work. So,
Well,
but I
it's a
wanna
closed
thank
box.
you.
It's a box canyon. There's no way to get the evidence.
Yeah.
Well,
They won't let you see it.
I'm slowly.
They won't
but
let you
sure-
confirm that there is no evidence. I would love to look inside and go, yeah, there's no evidence.
Yeah.
People are literally that stupid. They flee the city of Portland, move to Clackamas County and Washington County, then vote for the same people. They
Vote
are
for
that
the
stupid.
same people. I know.
Yeah,
I
they
know.
may be that stupid.
Yeah. And that may
But
be
I
it
doubt
too,
it.
man. Yeah.
I really don't
know.
think people are that stupid.
Well, and then again, maybe they like the misery. I really don't know. It's a damn good question. I don't know.
Could be.
Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on, man. You have a good one, okay?
Thanks for having me. Good to see you guys.
All right, you take care.
All right. See you later.
All right. That was interesting. I knew that was going to be because we knew more than likely he was going to lose his race, and it was good to have him on to get his feel for it from up north and stuff. I got to go. I really got to use the restroom. Rod, is there anything you want to say before we get you out of here?
Well, I just, obviously we've got a clear answer on wind energy, and that's great. We've got a clear answer on the sheriff's levy, and that's going to be a very difficult day for justice in Coos County. And I don't know how we're going to reconcile that shortfall, but I know that it's going to affect that call in the middle of the night sometimes for some people, and it breaks my heart. I don't know exactly how we're going to fix this problem, but it's time to look for some new solutions, because the voters are clearly not of a mind to support the sheriff's department, at least not in this way. So we're going to have
Well,
to
and that library died too. That library bond in Coos
Yeah.
Bay, it died pretty bad.
Yep, it did, and that's I see that as understandable, and I mean I understand all of it, but we do need to figure out how we're going to fund the jail, how we're going to fund the continuation of adequate sheriff's patrols to protect the unincorporated areas of the county. It's a tall order, and it's a bad day for the sheriff.
Yeah, it definitely is. Definitely is. Well, I want to thank you for coming on. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, Marty, and Rob, both of you guys, and it's good to be on. And you guys have a great night.
All right, you too. Take care. All right, Marty, you're the last one. Anything you got to say before I get you out of here?
No, not so much. I mean, the nice thing about being a secondary person on this is I actually could mute my microphone and stop my camera and use the restroom, whereas you can't. So,
You know, they got a position. I can put you in as some type of administrator here, and we could take turns. That's the
there
deal
you
they
go.
got on
Yeah.
here. So, and it's nice though. I'm not going to have to show those damn signs anymore of vote for measure 8116 and vote for measure 6219. You know what I mean? It's going to be nice. I don't have to do that now at the end of every show.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like you know, as much as I loved working on this campaign, as much as I love the outcome,
Yeah.
I am so tired of like just the whole process is just it's very numbing at times, and it's just like, can
Very
we just
numbing.
get this over with?
And it's so long. It seems like we've been doing this for 9 months. Damn, 10 months.
Yeah, well, we've been chipping away at this. I mean, you know, I've been doing the Dr. Frank stuff, and I'm accumulating all this evidence, and we're getting all this organization going, and it's like, you know, and the fact that I'm irritating more and more people means that I must be doing the right thing because the people that are entrenched with how the system works so well for them don't really like it when you start throwing sand in their gears, shall I say.
Right.
So if I'm not getting the kind of feedback I'm getting now, then that means, you know, I'm not doing a effective enough job. So, you know, I'm gonna keep plugging along. It's not glamorous, it's not fun, but somebody's got to do it. And
Somebody's got to do it.
last time I checked, I'm somebody. So here we go.
You're somebody, man. Cool. Well, I'll be in touch in a couple of days. I think
I like to show off my hat when Rod was on because it was like this is a hat he gave me. So
Oh, no, smart, very smart, good
Yeah.
man. Yep. All righty. Well, I'll see you next time. Okay.
all right, thanks so much for having me on the show. And you know, hey, as you always say, carry on, Coos County, carry on.
Carry on. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
And that was Marty. Let's see if I can get this up here now. Poof, there we are. 3H Tree Service. You got some trees you need to be getting removed. You need to get those trees removed because they've got insects. Maybe they got diseases. Maybe they're a liability. They catch fire. Yeah, they sound like Antifa. It sounds more like Antifa than a tree. But if you got one of those trees in your yard, don't worry. Don't fear because there's a group of people out there, 3H Tree Service. 3H Tree Service will come out to your house and remove that problem tree with surgical precision. And they'll do it with a smile. And they'll clean up after themselves. Yes, I highly recommend 3H Tree Service. You can find out more at 541-294-1800. Ask for Matt. He can help you out. Matt Holman from 3H Tree Service. And you can go to 3H Tree Service at their Facebook page and check out all their latest videos. They've got some really cool videos. I have to admit, if you want to see what they do before they do it, say you've got a tree you want to take out and you want to see what kind of work they do, go to 3H Tree Service Facebook page and definitely check out their videos. Tom and Giggs, of course. Tom and Giggs is here in Coos County, right behind the car wash in Empire neighborhood. They're in the Empire neighborhood at 135 South Shoneman Street. Once again, that's 135 South Shoneman Street. You can reach them at 541-888-4660. If you have any automobile needs, they can take care of those automobile needs at Tom and Giggs here in Coos County, here in Coos Bay. 541-888-4660, and they're at 135 South Shoneman. And of course, Herbal Choices, my only choice for those herbal choices. best dispensary in the entire county, and they've got one in Douglas County. Yes, all the way up in Roseburg. No, I'm sorry, in Reedsport. You can catch it at Reedsport on Highway 101. You can catch one in North Bend, in Coos Bay, and in South Bandon. All of those stores are located on Highway 101, and they've got one in Charleston. Yes, Herbal Choices for all those cannabis choices that you might have. And Oregon Firearms Federation, another great sponsors, another great supporters of mine. And of course, I support them and all the work they do. Kevin Starrett is still doing tremendous work. He's the director and founder of Oregon Firearms Federation, and you can find out more at OregonFirearms.org. Yep, that's what we do, all right. And I want to appreciate or tell you how much I appreciate all you people who tuned in tonight. Let me see. Let me check the presidential election if we got any new numbers. The computer is working, and oh look, I think we got some new numbers. Let me see if I can share that. Oh yeah, look at there. Those are some new numbers. Yes, Trump is at 247 electoral college votes, and Kamala is at 210 electoral college votes. Yes, 247 to 210. Yeah, let's hope good old Donald Trump can take Wisconsin. Hope he can take Minnesota. Yes, indeed, and Arizona and Nevada. If he can take Arizona, Nevada, and Wisconsin. Let's see, he's got Pennsylvania. Yep, there's a few states. And of course, look at the left coast. You can see the left coast right there. Yes, the left coast. Whew, damn. She got 60% of the vote in California. They're stupid in California. She got 55% of the vote in Oregon. Well, we're stupid in Oregon. And of course, you got 58% of the vote in Washington, the state of Washington. What is wrong with the left coast? Why are we so retarded? I'm just curious. Why are we so damn retarded on the West Coast? I just don't get it. I just don't get how. I don't know. Is it the sun? Is it the ocean? Is it the seafood? What is it? I just don't get the left coast. We're like a bunch of freaks out here. You know, if you're into killing your baby or killing yourself or doing drugs or being antisocial, hey, come to the West Coast. Come to the West Coast. We're a bunch of godless heathens on the West Coast. Come on down. Get your freak on. What is the matter with us on the West Coast? I just don't understand our side of the country. We're just really screwed up over here. And you can't say it's just us here in Oregon. You know, you look at California and how messed up they are. Damn, jeez, man. So there you go. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. I hope I wake up and I can see Trump at 270. Gosh, I hope he gets 270. I hope he gets called soon. I really could use a break. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. I don't think I'm going to have a Friday night rant this Friday. I will have a show on Monday. I'll have my live show on Monday, but I'm not going to have a Friday night rant. So, you know, I guess you're just going to have to catch me again on Monday. And I don't know who I'm going to have as a guest, even. I haven't thought about it. A lot of interesting opportunities out there to get good guests on the show, and I'm going to work on that. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this election night special. And until next time, you know what I always say? Carry on, Coos County. Carry on.